A look at how Columbia police chase suspects.
And the results.
Live from Studio 8A, coverage you can count on in high definition. This is KOMU 8 News, first at 5.
A fight broke out early this morning in downtown Columbia. I'm Greg Mantell.
And I'm Jim Rick. Thanks for joining us. It happened at the intersection of 10th and Broadway about 2 weeks after a gang-related shooting took place at that very same spot. More than 7 units were called to the scene along with an ambulance. Here's what police officers told KOMU 8 News reporters.
An arrest has been made in connection with a stolen vehicle today. Chet Jones was arrested around 1 a.m. this morning when a Boone County Sheriff Department automatic license plate reader detected the 2010 Honda he was driving was stolen. The car was reported stolen on Friday. Jones was stopped by a deputy and arrested for tampering with a motor vehicle, possession of marijuana, and driving with a suspended license. Jones' bond is set at $5,000.
As Columbia focuses on crime prevention in the wake of some very public shootings, the odds of a police pursuit are lower.
That's because police are rethinking their approach to those high-speed pursuits. I'll tell you how Columbia police have changed how they deal with fleeing suspects. Columbia police say the trend may surprise you. You might expect pursuits to increase as more and more people move to town, but that growth is exactly the reason for the decline.
Over the years, the pursuits in Columbia have declined as Columbia has become more populated, more congested. There's more cars on the road.
Columbia's population has grown about 60% over the past 20 years, according to the U.S. Census Bureau.
You have to weigh the risk of the pursuit against the, catching the bad guy and the danger to the public.
This is the Columbia Police Department's 11-page policy on police pursuits, giving guidelines for when officers should and should not pursue someone. Bernhard did not produce numbers to back up his claims of fewer pursuits, but he also says there's better supervision. A police supervisor must now approve every pursuit.
I always have to be constantly weighing the factors of, is the pursuit, the violation, is this pursuit necessary? Is it does the need of the danger of the pursuit, is it worth the violation? And I would say most time in traffic offenses, it does not.
Bernhardt says he can remember only 2 pursuits by city officers so far this year. I reached out to the Boone County Sheriff's Department to talk about its pursuits, as well as the ACLU, which has objected to various police pursuit policies nationwide. Neither responded to my request for interviews. Bernhardt said he can understand the frustration officers in the field may feel when refused permission to pursue a suspect. But he says if officers know a suspect's identity, they can apprehend him later at a known address. It's only in the most serious cases, such as murder, and when a suspect's identity is not known, that CPD is more likely to pursue. Bernhard says when the department does approve pursuits, it generally limits officers to going 20 miles per hour over the speed limit. 2 men have drowned this weekend at Ozarks Lakes. The Missouri State Highway Patrol says the first victim was 64-year-old Lyndall Mahan of Pontiac. He was swimming around 5:45 p.m. Friday when he drowned on Bolsho's Lake. The second drowning happened around 11:45 a.m. Saturday at the Lake of the Ozarks. The patrol says 48-year-old Carl Migliazzo of Mission, Kansas, fell off a dock and failed to return to the surface. He was pronounced dead about an hour later. Organizers of 40 Days for Life say more than 100 people turned out for an ice cream social Sunday afternoon and an anti-abortion protest in front of Planned Parenthood on Providence. Participants came from as far as St. Louis and Kansas City to celebrate what they say has been 1 year without abortions in Columbia.
And the reason that there were no abortions in Columbia is because they're unable to find a doctor who is willing to perform abortions here. And we credit that, first of all, to God. And we credit it to the people who come here and pray every day.
Planned Parenthood officials could not be reached for comment. And in international news, Secretary of State John Kerry says the resumption of Israeli-Palestinian peace talks could be, quote, within reach. Kerry has spent the past 4 days shuttling back and forth between meetings with Israeli and Palestinian leaders. He spoke to journalists after a late-night meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and a last-minute meeting today with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in the West Bank. The former dictator of Chad, Hissène Habre, was taken away from his villa in Senegal today by paramilitary police, according to his lawyer and a court official. The former dictator fled to Senegal 20 years ago and has spent years fighting accusations that he ordered systematic killings during his time in power. Habre has become a symbol of impunity and an uncomfortable reminder of Africa's unwillingness to hold its leaders accountable. A German magazine published an article today claiming that the United States intelligence agents bugged European Union offices both in Europe and the U.S. The magazine Der Spiegel cited classified U.S. documents taken by former NSA contractor Edward Snowden. Senior European officials expressed concern over the reports, with some lawmakers calling for concrete sanctions against Washington. The magazine didn't publish the alleged NSA documents. And today was the last day for a Jefferson City landmark. Coming up, hear about its story.
Mostly sunny skies, and what's most important is the fact that those evening temperatures under mostly clear skies, so good news for fireworks, are probably going to be into the 70s. So right now, shaping up to be a really beautiful 4th of July. We had a little bit of rain in the forecast. We were able to take that out, so we'll continue to watch that all week. I know, big
no
thumbs
rain,
up.
no storms.
That's right, and nice temperatures.
A far cry from this time last year, for sure.
A far cry from those 100-degree temps. You're right, Jim.
All right, Rosie, we'll be right back.
San Francisco City Hall was busy this weekend performing marriages for same-sex couples who earned the right to be legally married after the U.S. Supreme Court's decision on Proposition 8. Joe Rosado Jr. has the latest on the wedding blitz. Puppies took over Forest Park in downtown Columbia this afternoon. Adoption event called Puppies and Dogs Galore, with the hope of pairing dogs with loving families. 15 dogs had found homes by midday, and the shelter said it expected even more dogs would be adopted. The shelter also said it's found that hosting events around Columbia draws in more people than hosting events at the shelter.
These kind of outside events are a great way to, kind of have a good time and try and get a lot of animals adopted.
The shelter also reminds anyone thinking about getting a new pet to consider adoption first. Now here's a look at what we're following for KOMU 8 News at 9. A developing program will soon give entrepreneurs in Columbia new hope for their businesses.
And Missouri gamblers may not be as willing to risk it all. We'll explain coming up on KOMU 8 News at 9 and 10. Rosie.
Thank you for tonight. Cool start to your Monday morning. Tomorrow afternoon, though, top temperatures right around 80, lots of sunshine on tap, and really going to be a beautiful week, way below average for this time of the year.
What's it going to hit in Death Valley today?
It was planning to be 130 with 5% humidity. I just can't believe it. Have a good night.
Good night.